Hi everyone, my name is Ray Cant. I'm very thankful to be here. I'm glad David picked me and allowed me to present to you today. I feel kind of nervous just because even though I just came here recently, a few minutes ago, I got to see two presentations and the speakers we have tonight are very talented and very passionate about what they talk about. But yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm at the Messiah campus. I'm a fourth year student in digital enterprise management. So I specialize in things like design, technology, a little bit of entrepreneurship and gaming as well. But what I want to do today is take you on a short journey about my life and prove to you how some of the lessons I've learned can be applied to you and how you might be able to better yourselves. Hence, going back to the question, are leaders made or born? So let's start with my story. I'm going to start at high school because I feel that before high school, nothing you really do really matters. Like you can commit a crime and you'll be treated as a youth, not as an adult. You can kill someone. But yeah, I feel like my high school experience was especially hard just because I couldn't sing. You know, I was the only person in my school, like whenever they would break out a song with their shit. And that's why I never made the, audition for the high school musical one. And if I were to work at, if I were to, make it onto High School Musical, I wouldn't be any of these people. I would be either the background dancer or the guy behind the camera, in my opinion. So I had to reevaluate what my status in high school was. I can't fucking sing. And I could kind of play basketball, so like there's that. But it kind of evens out to zero at the end of the day. But in all seriousness, my time in high school was pretty normal in my opinion. I was slightly above average as far as my grades go. I volunteered at several clubs, like the yearbook committee and whatever, and I had friends, so I won a little bit. But I felt like throughout my high school career, I never really was able to pursue a lot of the great things that I want to do, like starting things or being student president or just being out there. And I actually went to a private school, and I always told myself that there were reasons that the world was against me, that society was against me, that my friends were against me, that the teachers didn't support me, that my parents didn't want me to do anything, that I wasn't white. Yeah, and that kind of stuck through me even after I graduated high school. Anyone guess what I'm about to talk about? I see some of the brown people cringing when they saw this image, and I'll explain why. For me, my parents are immigrants, and when they came here, they wanted to very much for me, and they wanted me to do better. They wanted me to surpass them and, become a little golden boy that they didn't show their friends. This is my trophy son. And so for me, growing up, the only realities I ever had available to me were to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, an engineer, or an accountant. And to me, like, when I was in grade 11, grade 12, first year, those were kind of exciting to me, but it was never really what I wanted to do. It wasn't really creative. It seemed really risky. It seemed really hard. And at the end of second year, that was when I kind of realized that I was buying into the dream. But not just the dream, it was the only dream that was available to me. The only one that my parents gave me. And no one ever bothered to tell me that there were other things that I could have done, that could have been a designer or a social worker, if I wanted to do those things. And I feel like this is a good analogy, that I didn't even know other stores existed, and I didn't know I could create a dream if it wasn't already existing. So I decided to fuck it. Just fuck it. I actually applied in the middle of my first year to med school, and at the end of my first year, when I had to make the decision of staying and going to med school, I got accepted, by the way. I decided to stay. And what program did I decide to stay in? It's a program called CCIT, which is a fancy acronym for arts and design. And needless to say, going from this to that is not exactly a popular choice with my parents or anyone brown, in my opinion. So yeah, these are the types of things I'm interested in: design, technology, entrepreneurship. And I realized that the only way that I would be able to pursue this kind of dream, or lifestyle rather, was to just make it happen myself. And I've whenever I reflect on my own experiences, I just find it a little bit amazing because I don't really, even now, I don't think of myself as a very particular person. I'm just an average dude. But because I was pushed so hard and pushed around so much and pushed so far, I kind of broke, and I kind of just made it my life mission to do whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And so in first year, I didn't really do much, but second year, third year, and fourth year, I got to do everything I could have possibly imagined. I got to work with all of these companies in different capacities. I got to organize competitions. I got to be in competitions. I got to work with these gaming companies. I'm a huge gamer, by the way. And anything that ever seemed like a dream just started becoming a reality. Just because I started trying, just because I stopped telling myself that the only thing stopping me is me. And I don't need to be afraid because if I am, then I'm never going to get anything done. So I'm sure we all know someone we admire or someone we kind of look at and say, how do they do it? And what's up? And what's that trick? What are they doing that I'm not doing? And is it because their parents support them? Is it because they got money? What's the trick? The reality is that there is no trick. You're either doing it or you're not. And it's just as simple as that. But there are ways to make it easier. So first of all, before I move any further, I would like to define what I mean by leader. So as my colleague talked about earlier, there are leaders who lead people and are able to communicate effectively missions and messages and values. But for the purpose of this talk, I just want to refer to leaders as people who are able to guide themselves and who don't need to rely on people or messages or whatever to move their lives forward. So my first pro tip based on my experiences is to think. Just whether it's your parents or whether it's society, whatever everyone tells you, we're all at U of T mainly because we want to pursue an education and with the hopes of doing something better. But do we have to? Was this not a choice? I'm pretty happy with the choice I made, but it was kind of an accident, to be honest. I actually got into my program through an alternate acceptance. But no one ever, for me at least, my parents never brought up the option of college or just not going at all. How many YouTubers do we know that just started doing stuff on YouTube and now they're worth multi-millions? And you're just kind of like, I want to watch one more video, but I have a midterm tomorrow. On something I don't like. Linguistics. Who here has taken linguistics before? I love linguistics. But that is a crazy course. Because I walked into a linguistics course once and they were raving about the letter E for like half an hour. I'm like, it was crazy. Learning how to overcome obstacles and barriers is very important. Because when you're trying to build your own path and lead yourself through life, it's important to understand that there are things that are going to get in your way. But it's up to you to figure out how to get over them because no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to be watching and say, well, maybe you can do this or you should do that or it'll help you. That's not going to happen all the time. You need to learn how to take a punch. You're not always going to get You're not always You're not always going to get that job you want or that internship or that anything that you wanted. I have run lots of organizations with youth teams. I've had to turn down lots of people. But I feel like whenever I would apply to jobs that I didn't turn down, I'm never presented with advice. So whenever I do it, I try to make a point to tell people, well, listen, your resume wasn't that great. You could have organized it better. You could have been more confident in your interview, but that doesn't happen. So the unfortunate reality is we have to teach it to ourselves. Learn how to fail. I'm a big fan, I guess, of entrepreneurship. And this is a very core theme in entrepreneurship, which is learning how to fail. When you fail, there is no other time in your life than when you fail where you'll learn more about yourself and the situation. When you fail, you'll understand what you did wrong, and you'll know exactly what you did and how you can overcome that and how you can be better the next time. So don't be afraid of failure. When you fail, you learn so much. Facing fears head on. This kind of goes hand in hand with how to fail. Basically, just don't be... There are things in your life that are going to happen that you're going to be afraid of. I'm sure we've already experienced a lot of those types of things. But don't be afraid to just face it head on. There are many times, even now, when I'm just scared shitless, literally. And I'm just the person in charge, and I have to manage that. And only when you can do that, that's like true leadership. That's when you can understand that you are fit to lead a team because you are willing to take the hit and move forward through facing your fears head on. Seek discomfort. When I say seek discomfort, this also ties into facing your fears. But what I mean is when you try to do things that you are not necessarily comfortable with, you not only overcome fears, but you become a more experienced person. You learn to do things better. When I was in second year, by the time I was in second year, I had never attended a rock concert, or any type of concert for that matter. But I met my best friend in second year, and she was a rock artist, and she invited me out to her concert. I started going to all these concerts, and I started doing mosh pits. Mosh pits aren't my favorite thing in the world, by the way. And it wasn't even a full year before I started organizing my own concerts. I started working with Sick Kids Hospital. I've been donating to my annual concert every year. And it's just because every time I had an idea, I was just like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's make it, why not? Who's stopping me? I just have to raise some money and get some bands, and I knew a ton. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of those types of knowledge and resources too, so there's literally nothing stopping you except for that discomfort. Seek it, make it your friend. Every time you're uncomfortable about something, that's an opportunity waiting for you to overcome. Surround yourself with awesome people. I'm sure this is a lesson that your mentors, your teachers, your parents must have told you. Surround yourself with awesome people. When I was in high school, my parents would be like, "Oh, your friends suck. Like, you shouldn't hang around them." Like, no, shut up. And it wasn't only until now, like, wow, a lot of my friends actually did a lot of weed. And I mean, like, I don't mind weed. I mean, like, it's cool. There were other types of people I could have been hanging out with that could have probably put me in a better place today. Maybe. Like people who study a little bit more, even though. But yeah, this is actually one of my teams that I work with at the Mississauga campus, and I love this team so much just because they're all super passionate individuals about what they do. We have a marketing guy, we have a web guy, we have a graphic design guy, and because they're all passionate about what they do, it keeps me going. It makes me want to lead them. It makes me want to create opportunities for them. We do things for 1,000 students, but we also do things for ourselves through those initiatives. So when these guys leave university, they're super well prepared, not just skill-wise, but also in terms of confidence, in terms of just knowing that they can do what they say they do. And when you surround yourself with amazing people, you start to make less excuses, because awesome people don't make excuses. You have a higher personal standard of what is awesome or what you want to expect from yourself. And you start to have better access to resources around you. And when I say resources, I literally mean people. I don't know that much about financial forecasting. I could do it in a month for one project I had to, but now I can just talk to someone from the management department because I know them, because I chose to make them my friend and in my circle, and now I don't have to learn finance. I can just refer to those people. And sometimes it's not even about using them for their skills, but rather for inspiration or motivation. And another major thing is you can't do things alone. Even if you can do great things alone, as a leader, you're not really leading and you're not really paving the way forward because there's no one following you behind. But more importantly, if you do things alone, then you can't enjoy it. And there's no one to share it with. You'll only have people watching you from afar, but if you have no one who you shared blood, sweat, and tears with, I guarantee you won't have fun doing it. To me, being a leader in the definition that I described as having influence over the people around you. It means being able to change the environment, your surroundings, and the way people see the world. And it most importantly means being in charge of your life and being in charge of your decisions, being in charge of what you do, basically. But, and I don't know how much time I have left, but if there's one thing I want you to take away from this talk, it's pretty much that the only thing stopping you is you. Before I mentioned how my parents wanted me to do these types of programs, and I was so concerned about how their friends would feel if I didn't do that, or if I would fail or whatever. And similar in high school, I was always concerned about how people would think of me or leading up to the standards that my friends had. But every single time I thought like that, I realized that I was just setting limits for myself and setting limits for expectations. Like if I managed to finish my homework, smoke weed, and play some video games for 2 hours, I won for the day. No, I didn't win. I didn't do anything. Things like that are a vortex of attention and productivity. If you surround yourself with awesome people and understand the only thing limiting you is you, then there's literally no limits. You. You. Follow. Link. Friend me.
Do you want to take a couple questions?
Yeah, sure.